All right, welcome back. So, I'll show you where we're at. We'll be talking about the next step of the RPG Lite game today. So, made a little bit of a mistake. Basically, wrote an entire music management system for this game. Recorded the whole thing. It's a great video, over an hour long. Forgot to turn the mic on. So, I'm basically instead of writing the code here live, I'm going to go back and try to explain what I did. And we're going to make the best of it. So, here's the problem. We go back to our tiled program. This had the complete path in our game folder to the music. I switched it to just have the music name. The problem is that I'm trying to solve, the music contained the basically an 8-second intro sequence followed by a looping portion that ran for about a minute. And when it got to the end of the song, it looped back to the intro. And Patrick was kind enough to split it up for me. Now I have two music assets. Let's get back over there. We have M01 intro and M01. We need to play the intro, and then we need to have M01 loop for however long we need it to loop. And we need a way for all of that to be handled semi-automatically. Which means that basically we need to be able to point the system to the name of the music, and then we're constructing the complete path to the music, and then we need to just be able to queue it up and forget it. Got the root music path, assets, music. Actually, with the whole path, like so. So we take the whole root path, add it to the song name. Any intro chunk is going to have underscore intro, and then the extensions, so .ogg. So we got that, or we got the paths for our intro music and for our looping music. And what I've constructed here is basically a little music playlist manager. And I'm not going to try rewriting it now. I don't think anyone has the patience for it. Well, I don't have the patience for it. But basically the way it works, make a new playlist, you push music onto it. Rather than having the sound object manage loop whether a song is looping, we're having the playlist entry manage if the song is looping. It helps us to manage the flow through the playlist a little easier. And the playlist knows if it should still be playing, which is true if it either still has music, like basically if there's still music in the queue, and if a song is looping, then it's gonna say it's playing forever. You can see that up here in the is playing property. If the current index into the playlist is less than the number of entries, or the current time is less than or equal to whenever the next song should start, which means that when you run out of entries, it'll keep playing until the last song on the list ends. And then we're able to get the current index in the list. We're able to see the time remaining for the current song and number of iterations, basically how far into the list are we. Or if we're looping, it'll just keep counting. Every time it changes, it gets to the end of a song, it'll increment the iterator. And what that gives us is the ability to, like, we create the playlist, push songs onto it, and then just keep telling it to update once a frame, and the playlist component will manage what should be playing right now. Did the song end? All right, load in the next song, play that. And I can show that to you here. If we run Scratch, was it music? Yes. There you go. You can see it's counting down for the length of the intro song. And then it goes to the next song. And it'll basically keep going until time remaining goes to 0, and then a loop. And we'll just let that play for a minute so you can see that in action. And yeah, this is basically what it's like being a professional software developer. It doesn't come up in any of the college classes or the interviews, but to be a professional software developer, you basically have to be okay with watching countdowns and progress bars for hours on end. This is going to be a big chunk of your life. But it gives you a lot of time to think. Ask any software developer, how many hours every year do you spend watching progress bars? Just ask, see what happens. You'll almost certainly get a really fun response. Okay, here we go. And loop. Yes! So it does work. Control C to break out. And basically play the song to the end until we reset. I'm ready for it to stop though. And the idea is we need to be able to plug this thing into our event handler. I'm just going to review the code right quick. We have basically we have a playlist entry as a proxy around the sound object. You can feed it a path and whether it should loop. And like later on, we might add more properties here. Like we can give it the num iterations. It should be allowed to loop if we wanted to. There's a lot of things we can do with this if we had a mind to. It stores the properties we feed in. It loads in the sound. Make sure the sound object's loop property is false. And we store the duration. So we can refer back to it easily. Every class that I make has an init function and a make function. It's kind of a self-imposed standard, but I have seen that in a lot of the core utilities. Play the sound. We're pulling in the music volume from the settings when we get over to our game. And then we have a playlist, which is full of playlist entries. Index into the entry. When should the next music start? And how many iterations are we into the list? In the same kind of thing, we're basically proxying around a list. We can push new entries onto the list. We've updated the push function so that we'll make the playlist entry for us. Makes it a little easier to work with. We can grab the current song. Don't need it for much, but we can grab it. We can check the time, check to see if it's time for the next song. Some of these properties I've made just to make other bits of the code easier to read. Like, I could have just wrote, is time greater than next music time down here, but it's much more legible to look at the update function and see that it's asking if it's time for the next song. I try to make the code as human readable as possible. It's like, I have to be able to come back to this 3 months from now and be able to figure out roughly what I was thinking at the time. You should always keep that in mind when you're writing code. And to that end, this is actually wrong. Should not be referring to playlist, that's the global variable. I wonder if I have that same error in the version I copied over. Alright, I bet I do. Okay, let's take a look at the game source code now. I added the playlist and playlist entry files. Gotta know if that same bug exists here. Hold on. Oh, looks like I did it a little bit differently here. It looks like I factored away the entire thing. Cool. Okay, so we're good. Okay, no references to global variables here. Whole thing is self-contained. Exactly the way I want it. So we have our two classes, the playlist and the playlist entry. And they are loaded into the system in the init file. Over in our import section, adding them to our globals collection. Every global variable is in the globals map. And you can use other map functions to remove globals from the globals map. There's some funny things you can do with it if you had a mind to. So now we have access to both of those classes. We're going to hop over to our main function, our main file, to see how they're used. So we're pulling the name of the background music out of the tile level properties, same as before. But this time, instead of just loading up a new sound object with the music path, we're doing the same thing where we're constructing the intro and loop paths from the background music name, and then we create the playlist and push the intro and loop music onto the playlist. Tell the loop music to loop, just like before. And it's like if we left the level, it's like we could stop the current song and tell it to move to the next one. Or if we wanted to, we can edit the playlist at runtime, set that entry looping value to false, and just let it expire on its own. And cue a new song to run after it. There's a lot of things that we can do with that, but that's for later. Now that we have our playlist, and it has music to play, but it's not going to play anything, we have to update the onUpdate handler. I'm going to hop over to onUpdate. And basically, on every frame, we tell the playlist to update itself. And that is basically all we have to do. At that point, the sound objects just kind of go for it. And just to show you the result again, you can see the playlist loads up both songs, takes a second to load, and there we go. It finishes the intro song, moves to the next song in the playlist, and then plays the looping song. And it will play it forever. Well, currently it's going to play it forever. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to go ahead and publish the other video on YouTube. It's basically a video of me coding without any explanation at all. Every once in a while you'll see interjections of this music playing and various syntax errors. Very few things that I write work the first time. I think I'm going to go ahead and publish it after I publish this one, so, you know, take a look if you want to. I don't know. A guy in our Discord group compared it to watching Friends with no laugh track, so maybe you'll think it's funny, maybe you'll think it's awkward, but you know, at least it's honest. Coming up next, wanting to get these dialogues reskinned. Break that out. Because basically, it works, look pretty good, it just doesn't look like the rest of the game. So, what I'm going to do next time, with the microphone on when I do it, is we're going to see what it will take to rescan those dialogues using the TrueType fonts included in the DOM-like asset collection, which are it's like pixelated fonts. Should fit a lot better with the pixel art genre. And then we also have the GUI tile sets, which include some various things for the heads-up display, NPC bubbles, and the window frames. And that is it. So, hope that was informative or humorous or worthwhile. And lest I forget, you know, we're only 14 minutes in. Ta-da! See you later.